Hi everybody. I did my craft roulette card last night, and the parameters that the wheel landed on were a sending sunshine card. The colors were spring. The element was rodent or rodents, and the random was shiny. So the card that I actually made for um, craft roulette, it was a super simple card. This is a house mouse stamp set that I got from Spellbinders. It's just black dye ink, alcohol markers. I lightly blended the background, put a little blue dye ink on there. Um, Everything on here was heat embossed in clear, stamped in black, embossed in clear. And I added a couple of glitter dots. And this is glitter paper. There, now you can kind of see some of the glitter and the glitter dots were my shine. But I also, while I was dragging out all the products to find something for my card, I have this stamp and die set I've never used. Several months ago, 2, 3 months ago, maybe longer, Colorado Craft Company had a big sale. And so I got a few things, and this was one of them. It's, as you can see, it's a little gnome set. There's a little mouse and laundry. There's a little basket in the mushroom house. So I pulled this out for the mouse. Well, when I decided to do the other card, I had already stamped out some of those, some mouses. And I decided to go ahead and make a card, and that sort of morphed into doing some ink blending. So I have here, this is Bristol Smooth cardstock, which I know a lot of people swear by for ink blending. And this is Accent Opaque, which I use every day. Now I can tell, I don't know, I don't think you can see it on camera. If I turn on this light, sorry, sometimes that light just is so bright it washes everything out. It just makes it darker in here. It's weird. Anyway, the Bristol Smooth is not as bright of a white as the Accent Opaque. You can feel it's a much smoother surface. I won't say much smoother, but you can tell the difference. And so I am going to ink blend this background. I'm just going to do greens, just to see the difference. Pay no attention. I'm running out of little daubers, and these are some that I had for some inks, and they are totally dry. There is no color on these other than they're a little bit stained. So I'm just going to use them for the ink here. Oh, and I want to do the darker ink first around the edges. And once I get the ink blending done, I'm using this Ulta New, is that Garden Harmony, I believe, embossing folder for my leafy background. And I think I'm also going to spray the panel and dry it with some of the new, oh good Lord, there should be a better way to get these out of here. Simon Hurley sprays. So, these are always hard for me to open. And this is, I got these on sale at Altenew. I didn't realize at the time that if you didn't get the entire set of 4 cubes and 4 reinkers, that you can't buy the reinkers separately. So I bought just the 4 cubes, and then later when I got paid again, I thought I'll go back and get the reinkers, and well, I couldn't get them. So that was, didn't like that very much. And I am not trying to do a super great and smooth blending, since I'm going to be spraying over this and running it through the embossing folder. But I do want to see how the inks go down on these cardstocks. So this is looking good. I've only done ink blending once before. With these, the Bristol seemed to me to be a little bit slickery, if it's not even a word, but like the inks went on a little, maybe it felt smoother when you're doing the blending. But I also noticed it was staying wet longer. So that's something to take into consideration. And I'll actually, I think they're still on this mess that's my craft desk. And I can show you those 2 panels. And here again, so I'm getting ink on my hands, so I'll take a little piece of scrap cardstock and hold that down. And again, I'm not going for any kind of super perfect blend. I just want to see how the ink goes on. And now let's do, this is the Accent Opaque 100 pound. They make an 80, 100, and 120. When I see that immediately seems to suck up the ink that's on the blending sponge. So you do have to tap it off, I think, more so than the Bristol Smooth. And honestly, so this is the same dauber, same ink. I'm not sure. Let's see if you can see that. So there's the Bristol. Here's the Accent. See how that's going on? It actually looks smoother to me. See how that's almost grainy looking where the ink is on there? And to me, this one really looks a little smoother. I'm sort of, when I did before, I really didn't notice that. Well, there again, but this is one difference too, is this seems to grab and be quicker to make a little spongy smear. I mean, you can blend those out, but the Bristol didn't seem to grab the ink like that. So that's another difference. See how much ink got on here from the Bristol Smooth because it wasn't dry. There's a little bit on the other side from my hands, but we'll see if the, there again, on this card, since I'm going to spray it and run it through that folder, these little sponge marks are not that big a deal, but if you were doing something and you didn't like that, you have to be more careful with this accent to keep that from happening than with that Bristol Smooth, because it did not grab the sponge like that at all. Okay, so, and I'm going to go back over. Okay, and here's another difference. So, you know, when I ink blended the Bristol, it was getting on, the ink was getting on my hands. So I put this down on the cardstock, and you can see where the ink was still wet. Well, this side I put on the accent, and I have to, like, you can't even hardly see. I had to really smash it on there and rub it around to get any ink off. So this absorbs a little more, absorbs the ink more quickly and dries faster. This tends to lay on the surface more. Oh, come on, focus. But anyway, I am going to put a little more ink down over here. So this might stay wet a little longer, but it does not seem to, so even when I go into the ink straight, it doesn't seem to be as bad about grabbing the sponge and leaving marks on your paper. So that's a plus about this Bristol Smooth. So I'm not sure what people mean by a smoother blend. Your sponge glides on there more smoothly. However, again, if you can see it in the camera, this is almost a little grainy looking where the ink is, and this is, despite its little spongy splotches, it's really more smooth without as much like little bits of white showing in the background. So I'm going to say this is really I think it's sort of more of a personal preference kind of thing. Of course, the accent opaque is a lot less expensive. Oh, now there it did get a little sponge blobby. Totally my fault. I just went boom right down on the paper. I know I have to tap that off for this accent opaque for sure. Okay, and that is really, this one just slip out from under me here. It's about all the ink I'm going to put down on here. There again, that's the Bristol Smooth. Is that not focusing, or is it just the, I think it's just the card. Anyway, there's the Bristol Smooth. Come on, focus. And here's the accent. Opaque. Again, I just seems to me like sort of a personal preference, whatever. For, I tell you, I'm happy with my accent opaque. Oh, and you can feel how wet that Bristol Smooth is still quite wet. So let me put up these inks, and we're going to do a little spraying. Now, these Amy Tangerine inks, 1, 2, 3, 4, there were 6 in the set. They're the ones that I looked, and when I looked, they did not have separate re-inkers for those. So that's something to keep in mind if you look at those inks. And I have to apologize to my friend Elizabeth because I am not doing a cleanup on here. Whew, I tell you, I still have to vacuum. This morning I did sourdough rolls, and I've got laundry going. Put the dishes in the dishwasher. This is some old Christmas paper that it's not all that great, but you can see this side is like a craft side. I've used this to cover some, to use in some journals. Now let's see, I got the whole set of these solar sprays. I thought, I'll try 2, but they're so inexpensive, really. I think they're like $3 for a bottle. So I was like, okay, I'll just try all of them. But I'm going to spray these down with the crocodile tears. They do have mica, so you've got to, sorry for the little balls rattling. You do have to shake them up till you don't see any mica in the bottom. And then I'm going to spray on this shimmery goodness. Now, if you spray this directly onto white cardstock, you just get sort of a shimmery effect. You don't really see much color. You can if you tilt it around, but They really look better on black or colored cardstock. And I'm going to go over here and dry these a little bit, and I will be right back. Sorry if that's loud. Okay, so one interesting thing is I tried to get these, I don't know if I put more spray on this one than this one, but if you can see the accent opaque, the ink is more faded than on the Bristol Smooth. It's kind of odd. Let's see if I can get a piece of paper here and maybe the camera will focus a little bit better. But anyway, so same ink, about the, same shade. That is lighter than how it is on the Bristol Smooth. Isn't that interesting? And I don't know if it's because this ink was laying more on top of the cardstock, and whereas this one soaks it in quicker and it dries, the ink is dried quicker. But anyway, I'm going to run these through my die cutting machine. Let y'all look at the cute little stamp set while I do this. Oh, and I've got to set this up because I don't have it set up for my 3D embossing. So here we go. I do love these Altenew 3D embossing folders. There's that one. This could have the shim, the thin shim in it for a little more dimension, but that is still beautiful. So this is lighter and you have sort of a more dreamy look, and then this one is a little more vibrant. I do notice it takes this spray a while to like set, and until it's really set, it kind of wants to, I don't know if you can see, rub off on your finger a little bit. But I mean, no biggie. And then we have our house and our mouse. And I just, well, the old person can't remember if I told you. I just stamped these, and this is colored pencils. It's just colored pencils I got off of Amazon. It's not a name brand or anything, but aren't those cute? It's the little mouse with his hat. And I'm not even gonna pop this up because you do get a little dimension with the embossing folder. Here's my glue. Man, the house is starting to get kind of hot now. My husband likes to turn on the air conditioning as soon as he can. And like if we have 180-degree day, and then if the temperature goes back down into the low 40s, he's still, oh, you know something, I didn't cut this panel down, but that's okay. He doesn't change it back to heat, so of course I freeze to death. It was 60 degrees outside one evening. He's got the air conditioning on. It was about to kill me. I don't know why he won't open his windows. We have new windows, new fancy schmancy windows. Let's see. Mint tape everywhere. Oops. I'm about to get that all crooked. Of course, it gets warped a little bit anyway. And I have so many cards made. I am not going to put a sentiment on here until I need it for something. Because I've got thank you cards and birthday cards and anniversary and sympathy and get well. And let's see. And I'm about to have to make more card bases. Yep, I'm not even going to put a layer behind there. I'm just going to put this on. Wow, this was quick because I had everything stamped and colored. super quick card. And that solar spray is so pretty. You know, I've got other sprays. Other mica sprays, but this stuff is super lovely. Sorry my lighting isn't better. It's just got so much shimmer. It's gorgeous. I love the way this looks with the glow behind the little mushroom house. And it cuts out the windows. I colored them yellow, but then it sort of cuts out the window panes. So that little bit of yellow and green showing is really pretty. And then here again is this other panel with the Bristol Smooth. It's brighter. Now I kind of wish I had done a second. This was like sort of a last minute. I was just going to do a card. And I thought since I had these panels already cut, I would just do a little comparison with the cardstocks. Anyway, they're both gorgeous. Oh, and here are, let's see. So these two, this is the Bristol Smooth, and this is the Accent. And then I used the Beluga. Actually, I used the Beluga. I think, you know, I've already forgotten. I used the Beluga, the Cross My Heart, which is the one with a little more of a red tint, and I may have just splattered on a little bit of the Golden Hour. You can see I got a little enthused here and it ran a little bit. But I don't, you know, that doesn't bother me. I actually look sort of like clouds back in the background. Oh, and this stamp is one of Desiree Coomerly's. She's includeathankyou.com. This is one of her new stamps. It's gorgeous. I did this one in silver and this one in gold. And this was a mix of, I started off with distress inks and I didn't like the way it looked, but that's just because of the color, the blues that I have. So I switched to the Catherine Pooler and went back over them with the Catherine Pooler inks. And again, it comes out looking a little different on the Bristol Smooth and on the Accent Opaque, which is really interesting to me. So these are just, I haven't turned these into cards yet, obviously. But so many projects I want to work on, and I still haven't started my Kendra's Card Challenge 18. I have everything cut, and I even have these pieces, so I'm probably going to end up doing a video and do like 3 at a time. Because I'm, you know, I'm hearing me say it all the time, I'm kind of slow. But anyway, Thanks for watching. Thank you for supporting my channel. If you're not subscribed, it would be great if you did. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.